So it's true that we can't hate ourselves healthy. You may have heard people say that before. It really takes for you to get to a place where you're loving yourself in order to want to help yourself get better. And so I'm going to give you some steps on ways that you can love yourself better so that you can love yourself better. But before I get into that, I just wanted to let you know that if you are a woman of faith and you struggle with a sweet tooth like I used to, then I want to invite you to my Christ Over Cookies masterclass. We are going to get into some biblical principles and some practical steps to help you get set free from that sweet tooth. And by the way, I still eat sweets, but they don't have a hold on me like they used to. So join me for that Christ Over Cookies Masterclass, malaikaburley.com/COC. All right, let's go. Welcome to the Overweighted Podcast, where we get real about the struggles of being obese and needing to lose a whole lot of weight. My name's Malaika. I'm your host, weight loss mentor and coach. Join me on my personal weight loss journey to lose about 200 pounds, and as I share my very real experiences, plus some simple, successful, and sustainable weight loss tips and mindset shifts so that we can mark lose weight off of our to-do list for good. Okay, so like I mentioned, you really have to get to a place where you love yourself enough that you want to love yourself better. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to take some work to really get to the point where you love yourself as you are while you're trying to work on making yourself better. So I want to actually give you some practical steps and ways that you can develop more self-love. And these are actually things that I've done in my journey as well. And I remember in the beginning of my weight loss journey when I really had gained a significant amount of weight. And at that time, I was probably only over 200 pounds. And I say only because I had gotten to a point where I was over 300 pounds. And I would not like take pictures of myself, like full body pictures. I wouldn't post, anything from below my chest on social media. It would be from like chest up. If anything, most of the time it was just maybe my face. And I had done that because I did not want people from my past and from like my skinny life to see me at the point that I was now. Because if you listen to my episode where I talk about like my weight gain story, I didn't grow up overweight. I was pretty thin up until the end of college when I really started gaining weight. And so I didn't want anybody from that former life to really see any pictures of myself. I really had low self-esteem. I didn't have any confidence, and I just really had lost myself in my weight. And so I would not post any full body pictures on social media because I was so embarrassed. And I had to get to a point where I actually didn't care anymore and just had to accept where I was in my journey. And that was really the first step for me to getting to a point where I could start making changes. And so I want to share with you some of the things that I had done to learn to love myself more where I was so that I could work on getting myself better and getting more confidence and working on my self-esteem. So the first thing you want to do is forgive yourself. And this was something I learned a long time ago, actually from Lisa Nichols. She was talking about, her story and how she had to forgive herself. And she was walking through how she had forgiven herself and how that was really the first step for her to be getting to the point where she is now. That was the first thing that I had to do and that you may want to do as well. If you're a woman of faith, you know that you are called to forgive others. But a lot of times we forget that we have to forgive ourselves as well. So I want you to maybe go in the bathroom. There's some tissues in the bathroom and you're probably going to need them. Close the door, and I want you to look in the mirror and look at yourself eye to eye, and I want you to forgive yourself. Tell yourself, I forgive you. And if you need to make a list beforehand, you can do that and take that in there with you. I want you to dig deep and look at yourself in the eye and forgive yourself for all those things that you need to forgive yourself for. So you may need to say, I forgive you for not taking better care of yourself. I forgive you for allowing your weight to determine your worth. I forgive you for wanting so much love from other people that you gave yourself to the people that didn't deserve you. I forgive you for caring more about other people's opinions of you than about what God says about you. And I want you to go through and forgive yourself for all those things that you need to forgive yourself for. And if you're a woman of faith, ask the Lord to search your heart and reveal to you any areas that you need to forgive yourself for. And then ask the Father to help you heal those areas of your heart. And then really lean into your relationship with Him and start learning who He says you are and start finding your worth and your approval from Him. So the first thing I want you to do is forgive yourself. And then the second thing is make a list. And with the rest of these steps, you don't necessarily need to do these in order, but the first thing really that's going to help you is forgiving yourself. And so make a list. So write down all the things that you love about yourself or all the things that you like about yourself. And this doesn't necessarily have to do with physical things or your physical appearance. You can write those things down as well. But maybe you are just a really good cook and people always love your dishes. And so you write that down. And sorry if you can hear my dog in the background, by the way. Maybe you are a really great mom and a really loving mom. Or maybe you're a really good artist and you can write those things down. Or you may be really good at organization. Whatever those things are that you love or like about yourself, make a list of all those things. And that's really going to help you to love yourself more and see yourself in a more positive light. So the third thing I want you to do is tell yourself, I love you. And this one's going to be really hard for some of you. And this may be one of the last things that you actually do on this list. But what I want you to do is find a full-length mirror, and this is probably something that you're going to do in your bathroom or maybe in your room with the door closed. But I want you to stand in front of that full-length mirror in your birthday suit. Yes, I want you to stand in front of that full-length mirror naked. The first thing that's going to happen is that negative thoughts are going to start popping up in your mind about all the things that you don't like about your body. But when those negative thoughts pop up, I want you to cast those babies down. I want you to think of positive thoughts that you can replace those negative thoughts with. And it's going to be really hard for you to do this at first, but the more you do it, the easier it's going to be. So for instance, if you're standing in front of the mirror and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have so much cellulite on my thighs, I want you to stop that thought immediately and think, my thighs are so strong, they carry my body throughout the day. If maybe you're looking at the stretch marks and you're like, oh my goodness, I have so many stretch marks on my body, then I want you to think those stretch marks are signs of the fact that I carried 3 children to full term or whatever the thing is for you. So when those negative thoughts are popping up, I want you to take them captive immediately and compliment yourself and just turn it into something positive. So that's the third thing I want you to do is learn to tell yourself I love you and learn to love and appreciate the different parts of your body. And the fourth thing I want you to do is do more of the things that make you feel more confident. So maybe there's a certain way that you dress that makes you feel more confident. I know for me in particular that when I wear jewel tones or A-line dresses, those things really flatter my body well. They make my skin really glow. And that's when I tend to get more compliments. So they make me feel more confident. Or maybe for you, you like to wear a 3-inch heel or a kitten heel, and it just really accentuates your calves in a way that you love. And so you walk a little bit taller. It could be a hairstyle that you love that makes you feel really good about yourself. Or maybe it's wearing a little bit of makeup. Whatever the things are that you can do that you know make you feel more confident when you do them, do those things more often. The fifth thing is to unplug from social media. And I said like standing naked in front of the mirror is probably going to be the hardest thing for some of you. This probably is going to be hardest for most of us. Okay. But we need to unplug from social media. And I'm not saying you have to do it completely all the time, but take some time out for yourself, whether it's once a year or even once a week, to get off of social media, because you know that the things that you're seeing and the images and the lifestyles of other people are affecting you mentally. And whether we want to admit it or not, they are. If we want to change what's coming out of us, we have to change what's coming in. Especially while you're working on your confidence, it's really good to unplug from social media because, all of the things that we're seeing and the people and their lifestyles, we know that what they're posting on social media is really just the positive. They're not really going to be posting the negative and what they look like on day to day. We're all putting up our best photos of ourselves. But for some reason, we tend to forget that and start comparing our worst to someone else's best. So if we want more self-love and confidence and higher self-esteem to come out, we have to be on guard on what's coming in. So unplug from social media, whatever that's going to look like for you. Maybe you do it for an entire month while you just focus on self-love and in working on your self-esteem. Or you may just want to do it once a week, like I mentioned, as a way for you to just kind of dissociate from what the world's saying and the images that the world's giving you, and just to sit with yourself and work on yourself. The last thing that I want you to do, and really this is the most important of all of these, is know who the Lord says you are. And that kind of goes back with the last point of unplugging from social media. Because if you're so distracted by who the world is telling you you are, you're not going to be able to hear who the Lord is telling you you are. Your identity is in Him and not them. And it's really hard for us to be aware of that when everything we're hearing and seeing says otherwise. So know that your love and your praise needs to come from above and not from anyone else. Knowing who the Lord says you are is going to be a huge step into learning to love yourself. So practice all these things regularly, repeat them as often as you need to, and you're going to see your confidence increasing. You're going to start feeling really good about who you are and where you are as you work on getting to where you want to be. And like I said, as you learn to love yourself better, you are going to love yourself better. All right, you guys have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If you got any value out of this or something just really resonated with you, can you do me a favor and leave a review? It helps others find the show so that it could help them too. Also, I'd love to connect with you on other platforms. I'm Malaika Burley on IG and YouTube. And go grab my free webinar, The 5 Keys to Simple, Successful, and Sustainable Weight Loss at malaikaburley.com. And of course, all of those links are in the show notes. Thanks again and have a blessed day.